is an interesting industry. Lead gen, data, call center, BPO, like our industry is filled with just the most amazing stories. The ability to be able to make money quickly is just mind-blowing. And unless you're exposed to people that are doing it, you don't know anything about it.
LFG, we've been gone for a while, but we're back, and I'm with the man in Southern Florida, Sean Dougherty. He's the CEO of Providence Digital Marketing.
I didn't know what a lead was. I didn't know what lead gen was. And like I said, I hadn't gone back to a call center since I was 15 years old. I had a friend of mine knew I was cutting grass, like, hey, I have a moving company, man. Did you ever think about, do logistics? And I was just calling people, and I'd never really sold anything on the phone. But, I think even back then, I figured that if I provided the best possible service that I could, that there was no way that someone would say no to me. It's such a interesting, but also benevolent industry. If you really want to learn, there are people that will teach you everything you need to know. If you do it well and you find success, I always tell people, use the success from this to fund your passion. What are you passionate about? Like, use that money that you make from these businesses to fuel whatever it is you're passionate about. Find something that you can really give yourself over to and commit yourself to being the best that you can be at that day after day after day. It will compound over time and you will find success point blank, period.
LFG, we've been gone for a while, but we're back. We're in Fort Lauderdale. There's a lot of action here in Southern Florida, and I'm with the man in Southern Florida, Sean Dougherty. He's the CEO of Providence Digital Marketing, Providence Senior Care, 2 different divisions. We're going to get into it, man. We got open enrollment coming up in just a few months. It'll be here before we know it. Sean, it's a pleasure having the show. We've known each other.
Yeah, what's my boy online?
We've known each other, what, 5-6 years? I don't even know. It's been a while, man.
It's been a crazy journey. Man, I was just thinking, like, number one, you're not from South Florida when you call it Southern Florida.
Oh, there we go.
We're like, anybody who's from down, someone like,
say South Florida.
Yeah, and even people who are from here, a lot of times because we're so far south, they're like, oh yeah, you're from the dirty South. But the dirty South is commonly referred to as Georgia. Right?
Yeah,
so
correct.
What's Florida? What's South Florida? We call it the dirty.
Got it.
So
dirty.
it's just me.
We're with Sean Dougherty from the Dirty.
Yeah. But I mean, it's hard to call a place with beaches so beautiful and restaurants and culture, a place so unique as South Florida. It's hard to call that dirty, but
no, I hear you.
It's got a grindy stuff.
Well, it's like Jersey. They call it dirty Jersey, but Jersey's got so many fucking beautiful parts of it too. I get
Garden State.
Yeah, I get pissed off on it, but I get
you got the shore.
We got grimy parts too, and it is what it is. You need a little grimy though, keep it alive, man.
Well, I think in New Jersey, you get the hustle and bustle of New York. You get that energy that's just nonstop, and you know what I mean? Like down here, you have so many transplants from that area, you almost get it by osmosis, you know what I mean?
But let's talk about it. I didn't think about this, but there's a hustle culture here for sure, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if it's you've been here way longer than me, and you're very gracious when I moved down here. Give me a lot of recommendations, and I forget sometimes to hit you up looking for restaurants. You know your shit around here. But what do you think? It's a different kind of hustle. And you know what? Let's talk about this too, because I feel like South Florida? Is that the right?
Yeah, South Florida.
They're like South Florida. SoFlo's got
Tri-County area.
It's got like a bad rap, right? Because I remember when I lived in New York, man, New Jersey, they were like, you get a call from South Florida, it's a scam. Let's talk about that, man. Where does that stem from?
Look, I think it's the hustle culture. And then I do think you have a very diverse and dynamic community here, right? And you have so many people from the Northeast, but then you also do have a really influx of Caribbean, Central and South Americans, and they come here and there's so much opportunity, right? And you're reminded by that every day just driving around, right? You just see the wealth and you see the energy, and then if you have a desire to kind of grow and make money and be successful, then what do? You start to study the people that have been successful or that are successful around you, right? And so that's why your circle is so important, right? Because you start to get around people who've taken shortcuts or who don't care about what's legal or what's compliant, or don't really care about the consumer, and they're involved in these businesses that only want to make money. And there's a lot of that in South Florida, but there's a lot of that in New York. And I think with the major cities, you have, I think more of that. In South Florida, man, it's turned up, man. You've got a lot of the Northeasterners. I mean, I think my introduction to this business came from somebody who worked on Wall Street, right? Very similar finance background. And there's an attitude and a bravado that you need in order to be successful in that environment. It's a jungle, right? For all intents and purposes. And you don't only need to do what you're asked to do, you need to go above and beyond, right? Like, what were your work hours like? You work some crazy work hours.
Yeah, when the work got done, I remember when I was a bond broker, we had to make at least 300 dials minimum, man.
Yeah.
You know, and you didn't leave until you made those 300 dials.
So you learned something in that.
Yeah,
right?
you learned that. Just get it until when your work is done, when the work gets done. There's no fun. Not 6 o'clock, not 5 o'clock when the fucking work gets done.
Yeah. And I think the call center culture down in South Florida, I remember being young. I was like 15 or 16 years old, and I had a friend of mine who were like, hey, like, let's get a job, right? And like my job back then was like playing sports. I played basketball, baseball, football, tennis, track. You know what I mean? I played as many things as I possibly could. It was a part of that culture. And I always wanted to be outside too. So the idea of a job was just so far from me. But my friend's like, hey, I think we can make, this advertisement says, hey, you can make $500 to $1,000 a week. And I was like, no way, right? Like at such a young age. So I walked into that call center. I looked around. I hung out for like 2 hours. I think I got a couple of girls' phone numbers and I bounced, right? I was like, that wasn't that season of my life. I didn't walk into a call center until I was in my early 30s again. You know what I mean? Which was just a wild, but they've been down here. People have found ways to make money. And what I love about the call center environment, which is I think where we kind of find commonality, where we met, right? Was that you can come in without really an education, without really any experience. And if you have hustle, if you have bustle, if you have determination, if you want to grow, if you want to learn, you can earn a lot of money in the call center space, right? And beyond that, I think you can find a career. You could find a career as an insurance agent. You could find a career as someone who handles debt and, just in the financial services. I mean, there's so much that can be learned by selling on the phone. I think that that's probably one of the things that helps the hustle and bustle. This is a big call center space in South Florida.
Yeah, and if you're someone in our industry that sells leads, tons of call centers means these are tons of your clients, right? You buy leads, you buy a shitload, you generate your own leads, you buy leads. So you've seen it all, right? But it's such an education when you're on the phone. And then if you have that big picture, which I want to talk about it, that big picture thinking, you can start your own business and you can get to where, congratulations. I look, the floor here is more than doubled, it seems like, right?
Yeah.
It seems like people smiling there. You got some AI stuff, use ChatGPT's money, right? So like, you're instilling that in them, right?
Yeah. If you don't innovate, you die. Right? Yeah. That's one of the things you learn. But like, I think it's a great story, but I think it's a story that's it's still being written, right? Like, and it's great to like peep halfway through the book. But like if you peep halfway through the book and you're engaged and entertained by the story or excited about the growth, it has to go back to the beginning, right? So I remember like I didn't know what a lead was. I didn't know what lead gen was. And like I said, I hadn't gone back to a call center since I was 15 years old, right? So I'm in my early 30s.
So you're like about like a 15, 20-year gap, right?
I became, I wanted to become a professional athlete. And I probably had this skill. Basketball. I was really great as a football player. I played defensive back, wide receiver. I made first team all county, and I made first team all state in 3 different sports, right? Baseball, basketball, and football. And so I went to a smaller high school and had some great experiences there. But I just love sports. Like for me, sports was an opportunity to escape, right? And I always liked to compete, but then the team elements, right? Like later on in life, once I started to get involved in business, I realized that I learned things as an athlete, as a captain, as a guy who didn't play a lot, who was trying to earn a spot, that really helped me a lot in business, right? And when I started to understand the correlation between the two, like, hey, run your business like you'd run a practice, right? Yeah. Like, what are you doing every 5 or 10 minutes? Like, start to track your metrics, start to have some attainable goals, right? That I think are important, right? Every business, they don't only have goals, they have attainable goals. Like what's reachable, what's attainable. And in sport, that was something that I learned because I had great coaches, right? I had people.
So the coaches instilled that in you?
Coaches instilled that. I mean, and I'm just a learner, man. Like I wanted to figure out like why Michael Jordan was great. I watched a clip on him the other day, and he's talking with Dean Smith, his coach, and he said, Coach, I want to be the greatest player that's ever been here. He's like, then Michael, you're going to have to do more than what the players who are already here are already doing. And start talking about his practice habits. And he said, Coach, I'm going to work harder than anyone you've ever seen before, right? And so in hindsight, why was he so successful? There's been other 6'6" guards with similar skill sets and athletic ability and talent. And I think there are also other things in play. I think, my company is named Providence. And the reason why it's called Providence is because I do believe that God has a purpose and plan for everybody. I think everything happens for a reason. And it makes me grateful, like puts me in a state of gratitude for the good and bad things that are to come, or that have been. But going back to like how I got introduced into the call center space, I'm coaching I coach high school basketball. I didn't end up going to college. I got in trouble. South Florida, thug life. I didn't choose the thug life chose me, right? But just growing up and, you know, my parents got divorced when I was 15. My father was a musician. My mother was a hippie. I'm the oldest of 6 kids. And kind of I mean, for me, growing up was great. South Florida, freedom, flexibility. My parents really didn't tell me what I should or shouldn't be doing. But yeah, and then I was an athlete, and you know, athletes like to party and athletes like to hang out. And so I got caught up with the wrong crowd, got into a little bit of trouble, and you know, I had to figure out what was next. I had though, when I was in my early 20s, really a life-changing encounter with Jesus, and that kind of redirected my paths. I had this like pursuit and this desire to become successful and to become a professional athlete, and like my desire for that started to shift towards service to other people, and got involved in the church and got involved in coaching, and then from there started getting involved in ministry, went to Bible college. And so my life took a really dramatic shift. And I did that for some time. And through situations and circumstances and different things that happened, my pastor stepped down from our church and really started to evaluate and examine like who I was. I saw that he had kids that were older. I had 2 young kids, and you know, we talk a lot about fatherhood, and like our primary purpose, right, is being great dads. I think what we want to do more than anything else. But during that time, a transition, I didn't know what to do next, right? And I had a friend of mine, I actually started cutting grass. You know, it was like, I went through this like whole depressive state. You know, I had all these.
Let me ask you, when you cut grass, that was one of my favorite jobs. I was getting paid like $6.50 an hour. You're just out there, you smell the grass, like it's a weird, it's almost like it's therapeutic, right?
I mean, at that place in time, I was running a travel basketball organization. I was a high school basketball coach, which is a year-round job. Shout out to all the high school basketball coaches, man. They do so much and get paid so little. But like for me, I was doing so much, and then all that ended abruptly. And I had some great experiences with basketball. I was able to go to Morocco, run basketball camps, Central and South America, got to go play in Russia, and just had a, you know, incredible experience there. And I just did some amazing things. But man, when all that ended, I had a really hard time like figuring
Like you lose your
what was next.
purpose, right?
Well, yeah, because I had in my mind an idea on how my life was going to be written.
Yeah.
Right. And getting to a point, to a place of just surrender was difficult. And I think more times than not, I'm not a guy that sees the signs when it comes to a relationship ending, right? You know what I mean? And in employment, when you're working for someone else and like you think things are going well, or maybe even you don't, you're tolerating relationships that are uncomfortable. You know what I mean? At some point, like I just have a hard time breaking up with people. You know what I mean? And so I think in my heart of hearts, I knew some of those seasons and some of those things I was involved in were coming to an end, but I couldn't see what was next. And I think vision is so important, like being able to see like what's next and having a vision, having goals and things you're shooting towards. Because if you don't, man, listen, the world will eat you alive.
Yeah.
And I had 2 young kids. You didn't know how I was going to pay my mortgage. I had a little severance, but you know, I had a friend, I was cutting grass, just listening to podcasts. It was before that. Actually, it was like MP3s, you know what I mean? Like back in the day. And man, I just used that time to kind of like get along with God. Like, and just say, man, you know, I gave my life to you and I didn't expect what was to come, right? And I had so many great and rich experiences, and I was a part of so many amazing things in people's lives, and it all came to an end. And I'm like, what's next? And I had no idea. You know, when in hindsight, right, you look at like why I was depressed or what I was thinking, and it was really, man, short-sighted. Because up to that point, I'd always trusted that God was going to just do incredible things in my life, and he had. And although I was in this time where I couldn't see what was next, man, one of the best things that I could have ever gotten involved in was next. And I had a friend of mine knew I was cutting grass, like, hey, I have a moving company, man. Do you ever think about, you know, do logistics? And I got to go work for a good friend of mine. His name is Josh Morales. He had a company, International Van Lines and Ocean Star International. And I think they're the second largest or the largest mover in Florida. Now, stories of success, and I got to see that early on, that business. And but I got to work. I got to get on the phone. I was just calling people, and I'd never really moved people before. I'd never really sold anything on the phone. But you know, I think even back then, I figured that if I provided the best possible service that I could, right, that there was no way that someone would say no to me.
Yeah.
Right. And even when they said no to me, I had a good friend of mine who told me, like, I was early on in sales, and you know, you get so emotional, right? And he's like, You just got to get through the no's to get to the yeses. And I remember the first time he said that to me, it wasn't that significant. But a year later, when all I hear is no, which isn't all that's being said, right? But all I hear is no, because look, you get 18 no's, you get 2 yeses. In almost every business we're in, you're really successful.
Absolutely.
Right? It's just the margins, right? That's all. But that's 10%, right? But you got to like reprogram yourself as a sales rep. And I think it was too good for me because, like you said, right, the dials, all those no's to get to a yes, it prepares you for business, right? Because I have something that I want as a business owner that I need from you, right? I have something I need from you, a service. Maybe there's a CRM, or maybe I need leads, right? Like whatever. There has to be something transactional of value that can be exchanged. And like, that's one thing that I did really well early on in business. As I started to learn these businesses, as I started to learn about moving, I did that for a couple of years. Missed coaching, got back involved in coaching, built an incredible travel basketball organization in Boca Raton. We had like 10 teams. Really unique niche, right? We had kids that were getting recruited by Harvard and Yale and Columbia, high level kids, but high academic. Love that. Left the moving company to do that. I was actually selling two-way radios. It's probably the worst job I ever had. Like my friend hired me. They didn't need me. They needed probably more support. You know what I mean? I got there and it was just like, what are you really doing? And that was another like pivot, right? I was making great money selling moving services.
Oh, sure. Wait, what years was this?
I got involved in this business in 2015 in lead gen. So it was probably a couple of years before that. So maybe like 2013. So, and that company, like I got to see a company grow from, hey, we would celebrate a $10,000 a week to making $250,000 a week.
Yeah,
profit,
sure. Dude,
up to $500,000 a week.
Yeah.
And when you see that growth and you see the people that are involved in it, and great people, smart people, people who are willing to take risk, innovative people, but you start to size them up in the best possible way because you ask yourself, like, could I do that? And I've always, I think as an athlete, been a little overconfident. You know what I mean? I remember getting the face of guys who were 6'8" as a basketball player. I'm like 5'11", 6 foot with shoes. No, thank God I can shoot. But you know what I mean? Like you stand up and size up a guy who's 6'8", 200. Did you see the video yesterday of DeMarcus Cousins?
Oh, I saw it, yeah. Maury's got some decision. And you got to hold down your proof.
Hey, but listen, man, somebody gets up in your face. I
don't know what happened. I mean, sure it had something that happened for a reason.
It was shout out to Maury. We had a great time in Puerto Rico.
Puerto Rico. What was it? Call center conference.
Yeah, it was just awesome. I mean, the people that were there and the stories that were told. But start to evaluate yourself, right? And you do that when you meet successful people. And like the comparison game isn't a game you should play often because it's not one that you ever win. But there is something that should be said about, hey, like I see they're successful. Can I? Right? Is that something I can do? Is that something that I want? And so I wanted to get involved in business on a bigger scale. It wasn't moving for me, right? So I took a two-way radio job. A couple of the kids that I coached that were a part of our program, their parents were very successful, really successful. They had a couple of different media companies, finance companies. You're talking about 100, 150, they had multiple exits. And so you start getting around those guys and they're like, hey, Sean, we know you coach basketball, but like, what else do you do? And I'm like, I sell radios. They would always laugh at me, right? Like as an athlete, it kind of burns you, right? And at that point, I didn't know what else I could do, right? I was limited by my experiences. I was limited by the people that were around me. As I started to change my circle and my circle grew and expanded, I started to see new opportunities. I started to see things different way. Hey, should I be making a lot of money? Could I grow a business? Like you get around people that are doing it and they see the type of potential that you have that you may not even see in yourself. That's dangerous, right? In the best possible way. And so I started to get around some of those guys and we were at a tournament in Atlanta and a friend of mine, Reggie Black, who's been very successful, just done some amazing things, has some cool stuff he's doing with Dana White right now. We should have some samples of a new like sports energy drink called Tiger Blood.
Nice.
So I'm really excited. Just the name alone like gets me fired up.
Yeah.
But anyway, he actually came and he sat with all these guys, and there was one guy in particular who was like, hey, you should go work for that guy. You could learn a lot. And it was a guy that was, who had come from New York, who had been in finance, who had been in your world, right? And had been successful in your world and survived to tell the story, right? So that, I think next day I got back, Sunday, Monday, I went and visited a couple of those guys, and all of them offered me jobs. And I decided to go. And the one that I went with, I walked in, it was a call center. It's in Deerfield Beach, probably had like 50 people. I walk in and I was like, first thing I noticed was like, oh my goodness, man, they have air purifiers that smell just like pot. You know what I mean? Like, you've been in a call center in South Florida, bro. It smells like weed. I was like, man, weed is legal in the call center space, right? So I laughed. I was like, there's no way. Like, how do I go from like working at a church, being a youth pastor, to this type of environment, man? And you just, I think it was then that I realized, man, like God's gonna take you places that you never imagined, and they might not all be like the places that you envisioned or imagined, but like that experience there, and I stayed there for 5 years and worked my way. I was a vice president when I left. Saw that company go from like, making 10 grand a week. Actually, it was like 4 grand. I remember we were celebrating. It was like 4 of us. It was a lead gen company. Data, you know what I mean? Had no idea what any of that meant, but I felt like that's where I should be. So I went there, saw success. I think I saw success mostly because this is an interesting industry, right?
Yeah.
Lead gen, data, call center, BPO, like this world that we're in. That, like, shout out to the LFG show too. I think like you guys have done such a great job of like allowing an opportunity for people to tell their stories. And our industry is filled with just the most amazing stories, right? Like,
It is.
one of the first things I learned really early on is that nobody goes to school for that, right? Like, hey, I went to school for a lead gen. I went to school to learn how to be a affiliate. No, right? Like, you got invited, or you heard about it, or somebody told you, or somebody let you in the door, or a friend who was started to make money, and you're like, yo, this guy must be selling drugs, right? Because the amounts of money and the ability to be able to make money quickly is just mind-blowing, right? And unless you're exposed to people that are doing it or that are around it, you don't know anything about it. You don't know that you could go from like, hey, I didn't have an education. I've never been in trouble, but I didn't have an education, to making 2, 3, 4, 5 grand a week, right? 10 grand a week. I mean, one of my favorite like little videos I see is there's an Instagram ad that comes up for Ringba. Shout out to Ringba. Yeah, they do an incredible job of connecting and communicating. But how much have you ever made in a day?
Oh, yeah.
To people who've never been around these lead gen, digital marketing, bro, you see a guy make 10 grand in a day. There's another guy that's spending 200 in a day.
Yeah.
Right? Like, yeah, what you make is great, but what you have to spend and what you have to sacrifice and how you have to endure, right? Because during my time that I was working for that company, I learned about data. What's data? Hey, I need some records. What's a record? Like, I mean, I like New Edition. We could put New Edition on it. We could put another record. We could put some Kanye on it. Kanye's controversial now. So who's the guy? Like, are we Wu-Tang?
Yeah.
We grew up in the best era.
That was the best era.
I mean, the golden era of hip hop.
Yo, Raekwon's tape's gonna be 30. It's gonna be 30 years old. The purple tape. I mean, we all understand what the hell's going on, man. It's crazy. We're getting old.
Yeah, every time I see how long, like Outkast, right?
Yeah.
Outkast, and one thing I love about, like, we both love Wu-Tang, and I love Wu-Tang as a kid, right? I mean, we got to see Method Man, bro.
Yeah, shout out Darren Black.
Darren Black.
Philly Ball.
METHOD. That was like, hey, I was an oddball there. I felt like we're at a big show.
Yeah, you and me
from the video show. I'm rapping every word. Trent Wolf, yeah, shout out. Like, he was up there with me too. But yeah, like what Wu-Tang though did as entrepreneurs.
Oh, that's a whole other story. Yeah,
that's when I really fell in love with them. I was like, wow, these guys were cutting edge. These guys were out ahead of the game. You know what I mean? Like, and so, back to my experience, like in the time that I was in, I learned about data, learned about leads, learned about BPOs. What I was really good at, though, back to what I was saying before, was it's such a interesting but also benevolent industry, in that if you really want to learn, there are people that will teach you everything you need to know, right? Like in lead gen, it's like, hey, you're selling leads, or you're selling data, or you're selling a call center service, or you're selling an opportunity to a business owner to make money, right? Like you better learn how to pitch that, right? And you better learn how to sell hope. That's what people buy, right? They buy hope more than anything else. And so what does that hope look like? And what was interesting, and as I learned about lead gen, we started in the financial space. That was like our first thing. We were doing some stuff in education, but then it kind of migrated into insurance. And then insurance in South Florida is huge.
Yeah, this is a hotbed for it. It's just insane.
10 years ago too, I mean, it was popping. And what
More so than now?
in a different way. There's different products, right? Like, and that's the thing that I learned too. In the lead gen space, like there's a lot that changes. There's regulations, right? Something changes.
Well, was it because there was less regulations, more Wild West back then? Would you say that?
Well,
sorry to jump, but that,
no.
I really want to dive into it
Yeah,
because, listen, we have a division called Senior Direct Marketing. And we caught a little bit of that a few years ago, some of that. But I know some guys, man, it's really the money is insurance. I mean, the guys that are putting a big volume, seems like they're all doing it in insurance.
What do I do?
Yeah, I know.
Insurance company.
Yeah,
Where did I start?
Success leaves clues.
Lead gen. Yeah, I love when you do it. Success leaves clues is one of my favorite things that I heard in Puerto Rico. And I've heard you say it before, but it was just something about being
it resonated. That's
what real. Yeah. Plus, I was sitting next to your son. You know what I mean? Like I was sitting next to you, speaking to a group of successful entrepreneurs, people who've been at the highest level of what they've done, who want to learn. Right? Who are they want to be inspired, they want to be encouraged, they want to be directed and guided. And I think that's why those little mastermind events are so
100%.
Especially, but like watching you as a dad talk about a tough truth, right? We had an opportunity to sell. We had everything set up. And then outside of our control, everything fell apart. And we were able to pivot. And I was able to pivot. And you guys, I've never seen you guys, and I've known you and your partner, Ed, who's a good friend of mine. Shout out to Ed Payne.
What's up, Ed?
Ed, I love you.
He's in surgery right now, man. Rotator cuff surgery, man.
Listen,
right.
You got to, I mean, you've seen Ed work out. You know what I mean?
He goes hard, bro. That fucker. Sometimes I forget how strong he is. You hang around people so long. He's like Chance. I forget sometimes, bro.
I mean, Chance and I play basketball probably 3 or 4 times a week. Right. Like, yeah. So I never forget how big, strong, and fast he is. And so, but when I was with the company I was with, selling leads, especially, so I'm in New York. This is Affiliate Summit East, right? Great show. Shout out to Affiliate Summit.
Shout out Affiliate Summit. Yeah, they got us on a panel. August 3rd, August 4th. You see us over there.
Yeah, we were in Affiliate World in Dubai. I never missed Affiliate Summit East in New York. That's one of my favorite shows. And obviously Affiliate Summit West. I mean, there's just so many great shows and opportunities to be able to learn, grow, and connect with people in the industry. And I don't think it's ever been easier, or there's never been better opportunity to be able to do that. But so I'm at Affiliate Summit East. I'm like walking in. I have a friend of mine. We're from South Florida, so I like the streets in New York. They're grimy and they're fast, but they're also beautiful in so many different ways, right? And so every time I go to New York, I just walk around. Go to Washington Square Park, right? I go walk the Brooklyn Bridge. You know what I mean? I go get a slice of pie.
Yeah, there's something about that.
I go to Gray's Papaya.
Yeah.
I just go and connect with the city because that city has great energy. There's a hustle and bustle, and I think a survivor type mentality that's either right before you thrive, you've got to survive. And if you can survive the streets of New York, you can thrive in New York. You go anywhere else and you can do pretty well. But we're walking in and this guy's smoking a joint, right? So my boy's like, hey, let's go see what this, they have badges, we have badges. So we walk over, right? We're in New York with the marquee. And I'm like, yo, what do you do? And actually, I had my boy. He was the one, Cam, right? Cam was who I think introduced us, or you really
all over there.
Cam was a bulldog. He was a guy that was never afraid to go up and ask, very much like Chance too. Like certain people have this gift. They're not afraid to go up and ask somebody, what's up? Hey, what's up? What do you do? You know what I mean? And at that skill at those events, go, right? So what do you do? Hey, we're starting an insurance company. Oh, cool. Well, we sell insurance leads. Oh, let's hook up next week when we get back, right? And yeah, perfect. We'll buy leads. We're going to spend $5,000. We were excited. $5,000 a week on leads. Great. Had a great time with them, hung out. Didn't hear back from them for like a month. Sent them text messages, followed back up, but didn't hear back from them for like a month. And so finally we hear back from them. They're like, what's up, man? Come by our office. I love going into people's office. If you're in lead gen or you're affiliate or you do something in the space that has to do with call centers, man, I could not encourage you anymore to get into a call center. Like, just get into a call center, see how they operate. It shocks me how many people in lead gen have never been in a call center.
Yeah, you're right. I'm glad you said that, because that's one of the little things, and I take it for granted. 'Cause you worked in the call center. I worked in the call center, and you mentioned going to New York and feeling energy. I love going to the call center, feeling energy. I want to throw some fucking thing or something out. It gets me back to my roots, right? But that's where it all started, and you got to feel that energy, and then you get to understand your client more. You get to understand their pain points. I made a career out of going to call centers, and then why aren't you there's 8 different leads they can buy, and you're only selling them one. Like, why don't you try this? Why don't you start planting seeds? And before you know it, now you provided more value, and now they start buying more. Yeah, you got to that's a good point you made. If you're someone listening to the show, you're a media buyer affiliate, you're in the business, figure out a client you can visit in a month. They'll appreciate you separate yourself.
Or you build a relationship too, right? And we're in a relationship type business. You know what I mean? It's all about relationships. You know what I mean? And so I think for me, my first question I asked him was like, what's your targeted CPI? Like, for you, in order for you to be successful with the amount of money that you're spending on a lead and the percentage that you're closing, you need to figure out your acquisition costs, like what you're and so they gave me a number, a targeted acquisition costs. And so we started with a $5,000 spend. In 3 months, they were spending over $100,000.
Yep.
Right. So I was like, what kind of sorcery? What kind of business is this?
That's so beautiful when that happens, right?
Well,
like a fucking plant. And it just grows. It really is.
In lead gen, I wanted
money plant.
Every relationship to be like
that.
I wanted to provide so much value that the company I was working with and selling leads to, that I was making money off of, I wanted to see them have more success than anything else. And the way that I did that with that company is I got really invested in their acquisition costs, their scripting, right? Like, and then from the lead gen side, how the hand raisers, like what targeted audience they were looking at, and how we could do a better job of getting more of those people raising their hands. And I was intrigued about insurance, and started to get referred to other clients, and that business just took off. We made a lot of money. And
so you were doing Medicare or insurance?
We were through
ACA.
Yeah. So this was the time when limited med was very popular.
Okay.
Right. Not a great policy. And that's what, as I started to explore, like what product my client was selling, I realized that it wasn't a great insurance plan. They predicated on the fear of the tax credit, the Obama tax credit. And so our scripting was designed that way. Wasn't great coverage, was expensive, but man, great commissions, right? They paid really well, and there were advances, right? So,
wow.
Yeah. And that's so let's say you were getting $1,500 on a sale, right? And so those companies, if they had a good customer service department, they followed up with the consumer, man, you saw a lot of that business stick. And I know friends that we have right now that are still getting paid out in some of those folks' existence. But people started to get in trouble because they started to sell it like it was major medical. And then you saw there was a big, Simply Health was like the first, like, wow, here's somebody indicted over their insurance, like the fraud. And that wasn't my first experience in that, right? Being in South Florida, being in the call center space, being around companies that were doing really heavily involved in DME and lab and some of those other things. That was really my first experience. And I always wanted to stay far away from that, right? I wanted to find a product or a service that I could get involved in.
What made you want to stay away from that? Because, I remember those days, man. I know people made a lot of money doing that stuff, and a lot of them got in a lot of trouble for it, went away. What do you think it was Jesus?
Yeah, I mean,
helped you?
No, no, because even in the products and services that some of those people got in trouble for, I found value in what they offered to the consumer. But their means of securing that customer and the methodology, it just wasn't compliant. In some cases, it was illegal, right? And then you start to see someone that get indicted, right?
Yeah,
and you're like, man,
families and kids and stuff.
Yeah, and I remember when I got in lead gen to start, man, you're around so much money, and then if you're successful, you work hard enough, you're dedicated, and you're just fortunate to have good timing, you can start making real good money. And if you've never made a lot
of the right way.
Yeah. But to people that don't know, I remember my mom, I was making money for about 6 months, man. We're making good money, right? Like $5,000 a week. To me, that was life-changing money. And I remember my mom pulls me aside outside, and we're staring at these 2 mango trees. And I got a great mango tree story I'll share with you one day. But They're the best mango. Have you had different mangoes and stuff?
Yeah, my brother-in-law has mango tree, man. It's pretty funny. You go there, he's got. I kind of want. I live in a condo, right? But like, I see that, man. I like to have my own fucking trees. But here, you can't really do that in Jersey. You know,
Growing up, had grapefruit, orange, lemon. You know what I mean? Like we had a lot of that in our backyard. Like there's nothing like a ruby red grapefruit. Like it's just unbelievable. Like, but there's different types of mangoes. But anyway, my mom looks at me and she's like, "All right, is what you're doing legal?" So you know what I mean? Like that's what she asked me. Like, is what you're doing legal? And it was compliant. I was doing things the right way. But there are a lot of opportunities around these call center lead gen spaces to do things the wrong way. And that, to me, like I wanted, and that's why I never got involved in selling that insurance product. And it was a couple of years later, I'd started my own marketing company. I was on my own now. You know, I'd met you. That was right around the time I met you.
2020,
right after COVID.
Yeah, right around that.
Lead Gen World. And
in Orlando, yeah.
Yeah, which is another shout out to Michael.
5.5 years with that one.
I love Lead Gen World.
Lead Gen was amazing.
Yeah, they do a great job too as well.
There's a new endeavor called Roofs in the Box. It's just, man, from day one, it's taken off.
When I first started getting into the roofing industry, what was happening was my fixed costs were always there. And so for me, I was looking at how can we kind of, one, save on these costs, and then two, how do I not lay people off during down times, but also maybe even the ability to pocket more money during the slow season or even the peak season. Since we've done this before, like with our lead gen companies where we have virtual staffing and from Argentina or Colombia, I'm like, why don't we do the same thing in the construction business? Now, once we figured it out, so we reduced their fixed cost by 70%. And so now during the downtime, they have real seasoned veteran type of players, but during the uptime, they pocket 70% of their operational costs are now going back in their pocket. And then when it's time to scale, they have the back end prepared, already ready to go to help them like lift off. Depending on what state you're in, you're averaging about 12.5% on what you pay out on taxes, insurance, all the different insurances that you have to pay out, right? So yeah, you don't have to pay out unemployment, you don't have to pay out FICA insurance, Medicare, Social Security, the things that business owners have to eat.
Roofs in the Box is not just limited to roofing or home improvement companies.
You can use it for any services, right? You can use it for IT. We use them internally for data sales, for hygiene, for analytics. It doesn't even matter what the vertical is.
It's like business in the box at the end of the day.
Pretty much, yeah.
All right, guys, we're back. We changed our outfits, man. That's how serious we're taking this. Now, what happened?
I had to have the same shirt on, right? Yeah, I did.
I'm not sure. But I had to catch a flight, man. I almost missed my flight. We were getting so deep in here, I lost track of time, so I had to get out of here. I had to go to Medellin, Colombia. We had to do preparation for Colombia Con 3. Look out for that, guys. We'll be sending out some information on that pretty soon. That thing's gonna be fire. End of September, early October. My man Sean D is gonna be there for sure. It'll be a good time, guys.
That's a great event.
It's a great.
So your third
It'll be
event.
the third one, man. Each one gets better too.
Yeah, first one, I remember I didn't get to go with you guys the first time, but I got to meet everyone at the airport.
Yeah.
There's a private airport.
Oh, you went to a private jet there, yeah.
Yeah. And why are those events, do you think? Why are they so unique? What makes Colombia
I think
great?
what it is that when you go to these shows, affiliate summits, the Leads Con, the Contact Hour, they're all great, don't get me wrong, but you have, it's crazy how you go there with like an agenda. You think you're gonna meet all these people, but the time, the speed of time doubles or triples, right? Like you might have like 9 to 5 there, but that 9 to 5, that 8-hour period is like 2 hours. It goes by so freaking fast. And then you see someone, and it's almost like a speed dating thing. You don't really get to get deep with them. When you're at these events, you can go deep. There's no people turn off their computers, man. They really focus. You're there for like 2 days, all day, all night. And you get in depth. You have those intimate conversations. You get to talk. People let their guard down a little bit, and they'll give you some sauce that's working for them, man. And then you make lifelong friends as a result.
Yeah, the sauce is the most important.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah, just like knowing that, number one, you guys always have heavy hitters, right? And I think everybody who goes to a show like that, especially like a mastermind like what you guys are doing, they have a real desire to grow and to invest in themselves, right? And I think that the more successful we become in business, or the longer we're in business, the more we survive, the harder it is to get up sometimes after failure. But when you're around and surrounded by people that just have a desire to be better every day, that, I think people who are investing in themselves, we know that that's the greatest investment we can make, right? Is in ourselves.
100%.
And sometimes we shortchange ourselves, right?
Yeah.
We have families, right? This weekend's Father's Day. Shout out to Dave. Happy Father's Day.
Hey,
to all the dads.
Dads.
We're in South Florida, so they call us papis. For Colombians, I think it's papicitos. So it's a little different, you know. But yeah, man. And I think when you get people like the people that you've got, and then they're sharing information, it's educational, it's inspirational, and it's people who have evolved, it's people who've survived, it's people who've thrived, it's people who are thriving, it's people who've sold businesses. My favorite part about those events and the people that you guys invite is I think their stories of failure and their ability to be able to overcome that and like reinvent themselves and like find something else to be successful at again. Those to me are my favorite ones because I think that like failures, it's easy to come on here and be like, oh, this is how much money I've made on my best day, or this was my best week or my best deal. And that inspires people. But like for those of us who are like in the trenches, like it's a war. You're going to the war, man, like Mob Deep. There's a war going on outside. No man is safe, but you can run.
You're always on edge
forever.
Yeah, you're always on edge. There's always something. Like I was just in Medellin with my mom, right? And we're doing a bunch of stuff. She had some procedures she had to get done with her teeth. And man, I felt bad. Like there was something going on and put out a fire, and I couldn't listen. I'm like, Mom, I got to, so that's how it is. You always got something going on. And you fix it and you feel better.
For no one or nothing.
No time. Yeah, it's just crazy.
Shout out to all of our friends and family and loved ones who have to suffer through us when we're at dinner and we have to take a call. Absolutely. We have to respond to a text. Or, I mean, any show that I ever go to with you, you're right. Like the concentrated amount of time is minimal. The amount of time that you get to really spend with people is minimal. Yeah. And Dave, you're still working. Like we're still working in the middle of all.
We have businesses to run. Yeah. There's stuff to do, yeah. Well, cool. But so let's go back to where we were. Talking about dinners. You were talking about how I think we met, right?
Yeah. It was a show, yeah. Actually, yeah. A friend of mine, Jessica, who you know real well.
And, Jessica, hope she's doing right.
And Luciano, yeah, my man. I love both those two. They're awesome. They invited me to dinner, and you guys were all there, and it was a great dinner, man. It was a lot of just awesome things happening. You guys were so excited about like the current success, but I think what I saw beyond that is like you guys were excited about what was to come. Yeah. Right. I think we were transitioning out of COVID. COVID was really good for a lot of people in the call center space. It really was.
It was great for us. I mean,
telephonically.
First week, I thought we were going to go out of business. I'm like, what am I going to do? I need to get because they were shutting down solar in New York State, all this stuff, and then all of a sudden it came back stronger than ever. I'm sure you saw it too in the call center. It was nuts.
Oh yeah, I mean, look, Chance and I, we were hiring during that time. Every day we were going out to events in South Florida, and we were feeding people that were affected. There was iHeartRadio. We did a bunch with iHeartRadio, and so that was a lot of fun. So like it disrupted a lot of people, but for us in our business, like it injected life. But that time was coming to an end. Things were changing. Shows were opening up. Things were opening up back again. And but the excitement that I got from you guys about like the direction of where lead gen was headed, you guys, I mean, really like inspired me to come get back at home. And like it also expanded my circle too. Like I started to talk to different people. I started to prospect again. I started to get on the phone and call people and say, hey, what do you do? How can I help you? And it was during that time where I got a phone call from a friend of mine, and he's like, hey, I know you've done a lot when it comes to lead gen for health insurance. He's like, I have a friend of mine that just, got a lot of money and they're going to start a Medicare agency, and they wanted to know if I could market to seniors in a compliant fashion. And so having been well-versed in that, I didn't know how successful I would be. And I really didn't even know the backing behind them. It was just like a fun project for me. So I put something together in a couple of days. We started getting leads, and that account grew from like, a $5,000 to $10,000 a week spend to at one point they were spending over $250,000 a week with me. Nice. You know what I mean? And so, and so like I started to see other people, I started to see like the senior care space, really get hot. I think telephonic, people were excited about final expense and the product and the offer. And the ability to be able to sell it telephonically was traditionally a product that was sold door to door. And I love the face-to-face interaction with people. I think it's one of my favorite things. You can learn a lot about people, meeting them face-to-face, and it's just a different vibe, right? Yeah. But like, if you're selling and you're going door to door, how much time can you really spend meeting people, right? If you're trying to set up appointments and then, they're going to cancel or something's going to come up, and like how much time, but telephonically, like you could sit down with someone you could have an agent sit down on the phone for 6 hours and they could talk to 30 or 40 people. Yeah. So, right. So it's a numbers game. So, I really started to see success in the senior care marketing space. And it was interesting, like, during that time, I saw, people like Bill Somerville and Manny Zuccarelli like start to really have success, and that inspired me. But I really started during that period as like my marketing company started to grow. I started to have more of a desire to like get on the agency side of things. The more I learned about Medicare, the products and services, and I think for me, Medicare, like I saw both my grandparents on my mother's side lived into their 90s. And I saw like in the last 10 to 15 years of their life, how much like good, solid healthcare was a value add for them, like how much it made their life easier. You right? Like
Yeah.
I think the family made it better, right? The people around them, but not having to worry about their medical coverage, and if something happened, knowing that they weren't going to go out of pocket and it was covered, brought them so much peace. So being able to get involved in a business where I could provide that service to seniors, I really started to get interested in that. And it was during that time I started to think about some of the kids I used to coach. I was a high school basketball coach, and just I was involved in youth sports, and some of those kids now at that point were in their late 20s, early 30s. And so I was like, man, I wonder what these kids are doing. If I was going to start an insurance agency and I found a good product, like those guys need jobs, right? Like in my late 20s, early 30s, I was still just trying to figure it out. Like I wanted more than anything else somebody to provide like an opportunity for me to be successful, right? Like I wanted someone to be like, hey, look, here's a path. I can do it on my own, like as an athlete. I'm going to grind. I'm going to hustle. I'm going to try to work harder, longer, and get better, to the best of my ability with the people that I'm around. But I need an opportunity. And so I felt like if we had a good product, if we had a good service, I had the marketing down. Man, some of those kids, I started thinking about some of those kids, and I ran into a friend of mine, one of those kids who is 29, his name is Dovey, who now is my partner and Providence Senior Care, which is great. And I said, hey, man, what are you doing? And he's like, I'm working, doing taxes. I was like, taxes on the phone, telephonically? And he's like, yeah. I was like, you're working at a call center? I was like, yeah. I was like, do you ever think about becoming an insurance agent? And he's like, oh, yeah, I've thought about that. And I have some friends that are, we're in South Florida, right?
Yeah.
Health insurance is hot, right? Like it's just one of those hot markets, and the people that are involved in it make money. And so he's like, yeah, I was thinking about it. And so I said, look, let me give you my phone number. Give me a call if you're ever really serious about it. And like maybe 2 weeks later, you'll love this. I'm in Orlando with the kids. I'm on the beginning of a Disney trip with kids, which, in the beginning, there's excitement, there's a little anticipation. All of us are so busy, we're already tired going into it. But you just know, bro, that Disney trip is going to kick your ass. Like, it's going to whoop your ass.
I was there last weekend. I walked like 11.3 miles, 24,000 steps. It's just crazy.
And you're a long distance runner.
Yeah.
Right? Like the first thing I have to do after a Disney trip with my family is like, I need a spa day. I need like a massage. Like
it's an event.
I'm walking around Disney with like a Theragun.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just because it beats you up. So anyway, I'm there. In the beginning of that trip, I'm trying to find the Airbnb, and I get a call from Dovey. So I sit there and talk with Dovey on speaker for like an hour. And I'm just like, look, Dovey, here's kind of what I've been up to with the marketing company. Here's the success I've seen. I've been around other guys who've started insurance companies. I've seen like what it takes for them to be successful. I know that like God's given you gifts and talents and abilities, and this is something that you really want to do. Like, let's roll. And he was in,
Nice.
and so we got involved with some friends of ours that were actually selling Medicare supplement. That was like our first product that we were excited about. But like, I started to see really quickly, like it was hard to get a client through underwriting. Like there were nuances with the supplement world, right? Medicare supplement. And I started to get more requests for marketing for Medicare Advantage. And that's where I was like, man, we need to pivot, which is really interesting because the company that we were with, they were slow on their pivot, right? That huge office, it's beautiful, 10,000 square feet, glass. I mean, it was, when you walked into it, it just looked like a successful business, right? And looks can be deceiving. We know that,
100%.
right? And I think the hardest thing for me was a year later, they owed me a bunch of money. We have a meeting with all the owners. There's 4 owners. It was the only time like we had met, and they're like, hey, we can't pay you. We're going out of business and we don't know what to do. You were right. And you don't ever want to hear like you were right, because I was like, hey, diversify your business. We'll help you with marketing. We can help you with, I don't know insurance as well as I know marketing and the call center space. And I wanted to add value. But it was like, man, it was just a sinking ship. So we pivoted really quickly, got another contract, really started to focus on Medicare Advantage, and just kind of fell more and more in love with that product. And I mean, we've been in that business now 5 years, and there's so many nuances in that business, but the platform and the people and the relationships and what we've been able to build with that company, now we've become a resource to other Medicare agencies. So if a Medicare agency is struggling with their marketing, or they're struggling with maybe a compliance issue, or they need a CRM, or they need a recommendation for a great dialer, we have friends of ours. A couple of years ago, I got involved with some guys from Wilmington, North Carolina, in the insurance space, and they were in the process of being acquired by Humana for a lot of money. And they came and met with us, and they were super excited, and I was fired up right after that, because I was like, man, if they've been successful and they see the opportunity for success in us, man, let's just double down on this. And so we doubled down on that. That relationship grew. The people that we met ended up having that big deal, and then they went out and started something else. And one of that tool that came from that is Enroll Here, right? And the crazy story about Enroll Here is I'm in Dubai, which me, David, Chance, and John was there.
Best breakfast of our life.
Yeah, we had that was just a great trip altogether, right? So we're in Dubai. First night we're in Dubai. Who had Henry Ads? Shout out to Henry Ads, right? They're always throwing great events. They had a yacht party. Yeah. And it was so funny, like the people that we hung out with on that yacht, Sean, Stan, John, like we hung out with them pretty much the whole time we were in Dubai. But, we were just kind of meeting some of those guys, and Stan's like, hey, I'm going to go work for these guys in Wilmington now in insurance. I'm like, you're going to leave Retriever? And, you guys did a great job of that conversation. And so the relationship I had with Stan, and it came from my relationship in the lead gen world at Retriever, and now he's going to work for an insurance company. So it was like my two worlds were colliding, which I thought was fascinating, because, man, like the tool that they built out is phenomenal. Like when it comes to, when we show people it, they're just blown away, because, and listen, it starts with the people. Tyler Reese, Ryan, Josh, like that group that kind of grew up together and in the Northeast, man, did such a great job with Medicare Advantage, and now are pivoting into this incredible tool that helps agencies like mine track business, chart business. It gives you real-time insight into everything you do, which allows you an opportunity to, hey, if things are going well, let's invest more. You got a good lead vendor. Providence Digital Marketing is a great lead vendor. I was like, people ask all the time, they see our CPA and they're like, who provides all your leads? I was like, well, I could refer you to an incredible lead gen company called Providence Digital Marketing. And I always give them Matt's phone number. You know what I mean? And if they don't know me, it's always great, because, Matt started with me as an agent. Like, Dovey, who's my partner, Matt, who's my partner with Providence Digital Marketing, he started as an insurance agent. Right. And then we're like, man, we're getting so many calls. Like, how do we track the flow of the calls and these systems? And Matt's like, I think I can do it.
Yeah, they had no experience with lead gen prior to this, right?
I mean, Dovey was a pig farmer.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
I think you're talking about taxes, a pig farmer.
Yeah, I mean,
I had no clue.
We've all had odd jobs growing up.
What the fuck is a pig farmer?
They farm pigs, man. That's where you get. I know you have different dietary. Yeah. See, I love some bacon. So, like, I want lechon. I'm in South Florida, bro. I want that fire pork.
Yeah. No, what I was gonna say is that I think a lot of people in the industry, we do it too often, that we hire people from within the industry.
Yeah.
I think that's going to solve. And honestly, I've had better experience, and I find this fascinating. Now these are two partners of yours, right?
Yeah,
and they got
different businesses.
Yeah, they had no prior experience, and I think that as long as you have the desire, and you obviously trust them, you had a relationship with them prior, right?
Yeah.
I think that really goes far. I mean, I just haven't had much success hiring from within.
Well,
and not to derail the conversation.
No. I think that's important. We ask ourselves that all the time, right? We ask ourselves on the insurance side. I have another business that does taxes telephonically. And then with the digital marketing company, do we hire people that come and bring experience because they also bring baggage, right? Or do we find someone that we know? Listen, when you talk to a recruiting service, they always say the best recruiting comes from your proximity, right? The people that are around you. And look, like, I think naturally we're just like, hey, we really believe that you just need a little bit of intelligence, a little bit of common sense, and a whole lot of hustle.
Yeah.
Right? I think more than anything else. And so I think we come from that type of mentality. So we're always looking to try to find people that are like that. People who've been in an industry for a little while, you get you get beat up by that industry. You get beat up by experiences that you've had with owners or employees or just life itself, right? And I think so for me, I always like to find someone that is hungry, that has the aptitude, that has the ability, that can just kick it with people, right? That has good personal skills. And I think that from there, then it's like, okay, what are their gifts? Like we do this funny thing. Any new employee we play this game called Meet the Family, right? Where we ask, what's your favorite movie? Okay, what was your favorite food? What did you want to be when you grew up as a kid? Right? And because I think a lot of that, right? We've had these core competencies or these undiscovered gifts in some cases because we haven't been given the opportunity to be able to showcase those or develop those. And I think for us, it's like the way I built this business is like, look, this is a great opportunity to make money. This is a great opportunity to grow. This is a great opportunity to meet people. And like I think when you're pig farming or when I think Dovey and Matt were actually working at an auto body shop right before they came here. But like, I mean, I worked in a machine shop. You know, I showed up at 3 a.m. every morning and I would work from 3 a.m. to like 2. I'd leave at 2 and go straight to high school basketball practice, right? We'd practice from 3 to 5, right? And then I'd usually go home and shower and then I'd probably go play in a men's league somewhere or, you know, I wish I would say I went to bed early, but I was young. You know what I mean? I had all the energy in the world. But, you know, that job gave me an opportunity through a little bit of sacrifice, waking up early. It gave me an opportunity to kind of pursue something I was passionate about, which was coaching. And I think these jobs, right? How many of us come into these businesses saying, man, I'm so passionate about lead gen. I just am so passionate about running traffic and affiliate marketing. You see the success, right? And you say it all the time, success leaves clues, right? You see the success of those who are in those industries, and then you get involved in those industries. And for some people, it might be a passion, but for probably most of us, if you do it well and you find success, I always tell people, use the success from this to fund your passion, right? Like, what are you passionate about? Like, use that money that you make from these businesses to fuel whatever it is you're passionate about. You know what I mean? And I think when it comes to like, whether it's hiring an insurance agent, for me, I like giving people opportunities where there's no cap, there's no ceiling, right? So somebody comes to us and say, hey, we want to learn about insurance. We're excited about insurance, or I want to become an insurance agent. We show them the path, and we show them the path to how people who've come in as an insurance agent have grown, had success as an insurance agent, became a manager, or gone off and started their own thing. Like, that's what we've been big into lately. It's like, how do we grow from within? Come work with us, come work a year with us, come learn the good, bad, and the ugly. First off, become the best agent you can possibly become. I think people miss that a lot of times. It's like, I'm not really all in to what I'm doing right now because it's not really what I want to do. And that's a dangerous place to be, right? Because I really believe that like every step along the journey teaches us something a little bit different, not only about ourselves, but about like who God is. And I think that God works progressively with us. You know what I mean? And like, if you're in something, man, you should be doing everything you can to be the best at what you do. If it's a janitor, if it's, you know, you're coming in, you're a fronter, or you're coming in, whatever it is, right? Like, you should do the best that you can to be the best that you can at whatever you do. And I think in doing that, that leads you closer and closer to becoming the best you can be.
Yeah.
More than anything else.
You made me think about my history because but one thing that really helped me grow was I moved to South Carolina. I played Greenville, South Carolina in 2012, right? Yeah, it was like crazy story from Jersey, man. And I didn't want to be there at all, right? But I saw the opportunity, and we were doing smart meters, working with utility companies. I'd be on these calls, and I feel like an idiot. I'm on with the technical guys, and I'm like, man, what am I doing? But then I realized one day, all I gotta do is hit numbers. I gotta get these things installed, have the call center light up numbers, and do whatever. Once I did that, everything clicked, right? And it was like a very up and down business. It's something that, man, it took a toll on me a lot personally. But I finally got it on autopilot. I mean, I didn't own the company. I was a consultant there, but I got it to the point where I didn't have to be there anymore. I built a good team, solid management, good leaders, right? And then I learned how to deal with these C-level executives and manage them. And that's what led to me starting solo direct marketing. But there's so many times I told my friend who was a CEO, I'm like, yo, fuck this. I'm going back to Jersey. I can't deal with this shit anymore, man. Half the people don't understand me here. I'm talking too fast, right?
In the trenches, baby.
Yeah.
You're in the trenches.
Yeah. But I said, I'm going to give my own. Guess what? Then all of a sudden I started making more money. My salary wound up quadrupling, man, during that period of time. Then I started solo direct as a side hustle.
Resolve. Resolve.
Then the side hustle started to make more money than what I was making there. I'm like, so it's all about, like you said, that attitude shift, because I could have stayed negative. I could have gone back to my comfort zone in Jersey, but I don't think we'd be where we are right now, right? So that's what it comes down to. Put your best foot forward, because you're going to grow as a person. When you grow as a person, you can contribute more. It's better for you, your family, everybody. So I love that you said that. You made me think about it. Resonated with me for sure.
Yeah, I would be concerned if I got into a new business and things were easy. I would be really concerned if I got into a business and everything went well, right? Like everybody around you, when you're into something new, they need those difficulties. They need those challenges. It's the way that you grow, right? Like I was thinking about working out, man. You go work out and you lift and you're tearing a muscle, right? The next day you're super sore, man. You do legs, you're doing arms and shoulders with Ed. I don't know if you've ever seen.
No, I've worked out with Ed, man. He says, I didn't do the heavy weights, but I did some other plyometric thing, and he was shocked I could hang with him, man. But yeah, Ed's strong as fuck.
He's curling 100 pounds. I'm like, oh my goodness. I'm walking back. I'm like watching this guy throw up a couple of. It's just wild, man. He looks like a silverback gorilla.
Yeah, no, I forget how big he is sometimes. I see him all the time, so I'm used to it.
But if you ever worked out with him, you're sore for a couple of days.
Oh yeah, no, I definitely was.
But the goal is you get stronger, right? And I think that all of those odd jobs and those weird experiences and those difficult and tough moves, man. I mean, I think the one thing that happens that comes from us not giving up, from us not, allowing life to just beat us up. Life gets the best of all of us, right? It just can't, it can't stop us from showing up. We want to show up, right? And we don't want to quit. But we need people to call. We need people that we can call and say, hey, man, I'm gone. I'm out. And then they can listen and they can be like, bro, you're an idiot. This is the best thing that you're involved. Because usually I think it's easier for other people to see success on us before we see it on ourselves.
Yeah, 100%.
Where people could say, wow, that person, they're moving in a way that successful people do.
Yeah.
They're working in a way that successful people do. They're growing their network. And
when I first heard of roofs in a box, I thought, no way could everything be combined in one platform, from your CRM to AI to even virtual assistant, helping manage all these things together. It has completely changed my business, and I couldn't be where I'm at without it. So over the last 8 months or so, I've saved at least $1 million on what it would cost salary-wise to hire the engineer. I wouldn't have been able to do what I've done without roofs in a box, or be able to do what I am currently doing without roofs in a box. If you are looking to scale, get your business organized, or get it ready to sell, definitely want to give roofs in a box a call. They'll get everything tightened up, get you set up to do whatever you need to do for a fraction of the cost. Not everybody's got $1 million just laying around. Hire operations managers and have their own call center. So give roofs in a box a call, they'll get it taken care of.
Well, I wanted to ask you a question. I thought about this when you were talking about that hard and difficult time. How do you overcome that? Like, I feel like when you do an incredible job with health and wellness, right? Like, I think you've really kind of grabbed a hold of that. And I think that that's a key to doing that well. I haven't during times of growth. My weight will fluctuate. Like I'm not sleeping because of the stress and some of those things. So I've learned to kind of mitigate that a little bit and kind of work the other way with it. And I know you have too. How would you encourage someone who's going through that to live personally?
Well, you say when you're going through like a tough time, to not let like your health.
Yeah. Like you've gotten ahead of your health, right?
Yeah.
You're doing some incredible things.
I would say I haven't been perfect. I mean, during that period of time, I probably wasn't the best of my health. I was okay with it. Like from 1 to 10, I say now I'm probably like an 8.5. Some people probably say I'm a fucking 10. I think I'm like an 8.5. Back then I was probably 5.5 or 6.
Yeah.
And I think what happens though, when you do start a business, it takes a toll, man. You're so entrenched in it, you'll forget to eat sometimes. That's what happens, right? And then like, damn, I didn't eat, then you eat late or whatever, right? So I started to see I would get sick more often. And I think what happened was really getting into peptides in early 2023. I made an investment in myself. It's not cheap. I went to Dr. D. You got a lot of celebrities, a lot of athletes go to him.
You invested in yourself.
I invested in myself.
Yep.
And it wasn't cheap, man. I'm like, you know what? If I pay this money, it's like going to a mastermind or something like that where there's high level people. you know, if you pay that, you want to get an ROI. So I'm like, you know what? If I'm going to do this, I'm really going to watch my health. I'm going to cut back on drinking because I will go hard at these events. I'd go out to fucking 7 in the morning, sleep an hour, and go back at it, and I'd be able to do it. But like,
it's common there.
Yeah, it's common, but it's not good for you long term, right? Yeah. So I realized, hey, if I'm going to do this, I don't want my liver enzyme. They check your blood work every 3 months. So having that, it's almost like a lead campaign or call center campaign. You got to know the KPIs. So when you get your blood work done every 3 months, you know your KPIs. When I first started with him, my cortisol levels were through the fucking roof. Yeah. And I thought that was normal. I guess we all think it's normal, right? So they put me on this protocol, DHEA. They give me all this stuff. Next time, my cortisol level back to normal. Now they're not even that high anymore. I meditate more. So I think that I was good at it prior, but I was inconsistent. You know, I go a few months good, a couple months off, but now I've been consistent with it, right? Yeah. And I think that's what it is when you invest in yourself. And I'm a business person. If I'm going to drop, you know, a healthy amount of money on something, I want to get a fucking ROI on it. I just went to Colombia with my mom, and I didn't really spend that. You don't really spend much money in Colombia, but you know, I made a couple meetings. I had a couple meetings. I'm like, bro, this trip turned out good. Now I have a potential media buyer opportunity that I think this guy's gonna be great for me. But like the point is that, you know, I always look to how do I get an ROI? If I'm here, how do I maximize my time and do all that stuff? So that's really the answer. I chose in early 2023 to invest in my health just beyond what I was doing, to go to a real expert, put some money there, and now I become friends with him, and you know, I feel blessed about that. You know, it levels you up is what it does.
Yeah. And I think that you got a Bentley for your first car, right?
Yeah.
Like when it came to investing in your health.
Correct.
You know, I think there are like little subtle changes that people can make to their everyday diet, right? Like drink more water.
Yeah.
Take magnesium.
Drink fucking matcha, man. This shit's been, I've been drinking this shit for over 15 years, man.
Baja salt.
Yeah.
Black coffee. Like I'm NAD, spirulina. Like I'm probably like that.
But that stuff works, man. It really does.
In business, we want every opportunity to have an advantage, right? Like, and I think even beyond business, like, look at talking about it before, like you're a dad,
yeah,
right? You're a husband, you know what I mean? You're a son. You talked about spending that time with your mom, and you want to be engaged in every relationship, right? And I think it's easy for us sometimes to get so engaged in our business because there's so many exciting things.
Yeah.
There's always another opportunity. There's always this next great deal. But like, we want to be engaged in every relationship. And like, we don't have any other bigger responsibility than that of just being a husband or being a dad. Like that's going to be the greatest ROI. And I think when you make an investment in your health, it allows you an opportunity to be a better dad, to be a better husband, to be better in your relationships, and also in business, right? Because you don't want to miss anything. You're way sharper.
Yeah, you're not as emotional, you know, in business. I was with my mom in Colombia, and she's Venezuelan. She's 71 years old, high energy. That's where I get my energy from. And man, like I love her, man, but she's so freaking emotional, like super dramatic, like typical Latina. Like, yo, chill. But so I used to be kind of like that too, right? And over the years, I've learned, like, hey, don't make an impulsive decision, right? And I think that when you take care of your health and you do stuff like meditation, you kind of condition that muscle to not be as impulsive, because it's crazy. Impulsive decisions in business they can really sink the ship quickly, you know?
Yeah. Well, I think like when it comes to nutrition and some of the other practices, whether it's running, I know that you're a runner. For me, I love the sauna, or I'll go out and shoot. Man, I'll found an outdoor basketball court, grab my basketball, man, and just shoot 100 shots.
You gotta do something, yeah.
And I think for me that it slows down time. It slows down time a little bit, and it helps me make more at a time. It's probably better said, right?
Yeah.
And then I don't miss an opportunity because I'm making sure that I call people back. I'm making sure that I'm following up with emails. I'm making sure that I'm getting ahead of like all my hopes and dreams. Like it's the 6-month mark of this year. Like we're halfway through this year.
I know, it's crazy.
You realize that? Like,
it's crazy.
And how many of us at the end of last year were like, man, talking about all these great things that we were going to do this year.
Yeah.
I hope you guys are on the way. I am. You are.
Yeah.
Like we're engaged. Like we're completely engaged in the business. Providence Senior Care is growing. We're opening new offices. We'll have our 5th office opened up in the next 3 months. We've got hundreds of agents. Providence Digital Marketing is doing incredible things when it comes to senior care marketing. I think we're generating anywhere between 8,000 to 10,000 calls a day, which is a lot of fun. We're helping people grow their business. And I mean, I really do believe, like, I think the best is yet to come, man. I'm excited. The first 6 months of this year, and I think the last couple of shows we've went to, people have talked a lot about that. And it's it spurred people on to reinvest and like masterminds and go and beyond. Like I think things are changing, and I think there's some real great opportunities that are ahead of us.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that, because I wanted to ask you a question. I feel like at the beginning of the year, man, I feel like things have gotten a little bit better. Beginning of the year, prior to that, you had the one-to-one, you had all this stuff with guidelines, CMS, all this crazy stuff was going on, man. People exiting, big advertisers exiting the space, right?
You had a big acquisition deal that you were a part of, right?
Yeah, no, we
You guys sold. You and Ed sold your company.
I was
for like,
April 4th chance. Bro, that was crazy. I was getting blown up. I must have talked to hundreds, at least 100 people.
Yeah.
It got to the point like, man, I was like, man, we shouldn't have done this. This is becoming, I felt like I let people down.
I think I congratulated you probably like 42 times. Every time I saw you around someone new.
Yo, Dave, no one asked me for money, thank God. I was shocked. I was like, I figured people weren't asking for money.
Listen, every time you or Ed were around someone new, I'd say, hey guys, congratulations. I get that thing going, right? We were at the boat show, right? We met your friends, the Croatian guys. Those guys are awesome.
Yeah.
We sat on an awesome boat. But you know what I really loved about that? Like we joke about it, but I think the coolest part about that was that people believed it.
Yeah.
And when you looked at the people that were commenting on it and the people that were happy,
Well, we got
you
so
guys,
much love. I felt a night. I'm like, wow, man.
and
we
for
got a lot of
who?
love.
If you looked at the people who were showing you guys love,
Heavy.
you know what I mean? So like that didn't surprise people.
Yeah.
Like even though it was a joke, I think the best part of that was that wouldn't surprise people, because you and Ed, you guys work so hard. You guys are innovative. You're always thinking about growing. You guys are super intentional when it comes to relationships and friendships, and you guys have such a far-reaching circle. And I love that. You know what I mean? I love that. And that's bound to happen.
Yeah.
Really, it's only.
Yeah, we put it out there. Yeah, we were there. We were on the footsteps. You know, we were 2 months into quality earnings. We're right there. Solar went the other way. We learned from it. We keep moving on, man. But no, I appreciate that.
Well, the ability to look, change is inevitable.
Yeah.
There's going to be CMS change. There's going to be TCPA change. There's going to be, look, I think now we have enough resources. There are enough platforms like this. There's enough of a community of people who really want to run these businesses the right way, where if you want to, you can find out how to do it. Right. Like,
okay.
and things will change. There'll be new regulations. There'll be different things that change that influence our business in ways that we can't even imagine. We just have to be ready for it, man.
Well, I was going to ask you about it. So what I was trying to say is that there was a lot of like, I don't know what I say, it was like gloomy, right? There were people, we got hit with a lot from a lot of different areas in lead gen, in the senior space, right? So I feel like there's been like a cleansing or purging going on. A lot of the old faces, they're not there anymore. And the people that weathered the storm, people like you, right?
Yeah.
You're the ones that set to thrive. So do you agree with that, or what's your analysis on all that?
The industry's changed a lot in the last couple of years. Every show you go to, you see less and less people, right? Like I think 2 years ago, man, I was blown away at how many, what's it called when you're buying media? Media buying, not
media buyers, affiliates.
No, not
media
affiliates. I just had a brain fart. What's it called? Yeah, media buyers.
Media buyers,
Yeah. But again, a newer term a couple of years ago, right?
Well, they all want to get into Medicare.
So
and ACA, yeah.
Everybody. There were so many at every conference I went to. There were media buyers. Literally every single one. A year later, there were 80% less, right? Because these businesses aren't easy. They're difficult. And you get beat up, you get punched in the face, someone doesn't pay an invoice, you know what I mean? Someone sends you fake leads, or you're outsourcing projects. I remember one time we were talking about this, I think a couple of days ago, but when I sent an Indian $35,000 for fake leads. He had these digital recordings of permission to be able to walk into a lead gen campaign, and they were all fake, right? I never got that money.
How did you handle that with your advertiser? The client, or was that for your own floor?
That was for my business.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
It's kind of good and bad.
I had partners in that business
until
that loss happened, and then I didn't have any partners.
They're his.
Well, I mean, I had to pay that. It was my money.
Yeah.
I paid that out of my account, right? Like we shared in the success,
Yeah.
but in the loss, nobody came to me and was like, "Hey, man, can I split that with you?
Yeah.
Absorb some of that." So it taught me a really good lesson. You know what I mean? But I tell you, I turned the page quickly, man. And I didn't have a lot of money when I made that mistake. And there wasn't a lot in the reserve. And I just knew that I had to, in order for me to be successful, I had to get over mistakes quickly. I had to learn the lessons, not repeat those mistakes, and just grow.
Yeah.
And I think that's, Yeah, it is a weird time. The first 6 months, and I think there's been some up and downs. I think that there's been a lot of changes. I think some people who are excited aren't as excited anymore. But I always go back to the idea that your attitude determines your altitude, right? You got to go into every day just thinking something's great is going to happen, and you have to. And if you can't, plenty of people you can listen to. There's podcasts you can listen to. You can meditate. You can work out. But man, if you're going into the day not thinking that day is going to be awesome, man, I don't know what to tell you. Come hang with me. I'll fire you up. We'll do a little pep talk, man. We'll work out. And Chance and I do that every day. But we come into the office, we're loud, obnoxious. And that's when I used to coach. I used to try to tell my teams, like, before a game starts, when you're warming up, get loud. Be enthused.
That's why I'm so fucking loud when I work. If I put myself up, man.
No, I'm like, be enthusiastic to the point where it's obnoxious. So you're walking in, Dave, let's go. Come on. Did you get that coffee? Yeah, baby. What's up? You know what I mean? Like, what are you doing? Checking some voicemails? Get them all done fast. And
it works. Bro, it's like a fucking drug. It's a natural drug, man.
It is, bro. It is. And I think the people that do it well and the teams that do it well, I think it gives them, again, an advantage.
I'm talking pumped up right now.
I heard them.
Good. Let's go.
Let's go.
Go, man. Fuck that ball, man.
I think we just caused a pretty big disruption. My floor manager looked at me. I probably said that our talks with our group to fire them up usually are more calculated. We walk in and fire our admin up, and they're usually having their second cup of coffee.
Okay. I'm probably fucking throwing some chairs right now, man. Doing something, man.
Yeah, better to throw chairs than midgets. Can you say midgets?
Yo, we used to have fuck it.
Yeah, maybe.
Listen, we used to have a chair budget in a call center in South Carolina. We had a budget. I don't even know what it was. Even it wasn't even a lot. They go to Walmart, get like 5 of those, like those WWF chairs from back in the day. They hit you.
Oh yeah.
And bro, they were banged up all the time. We fucked up the carpet, man. We had to pay a lot for the carpet. That was the casualty of that. But man, one time my son went in there. He's 1.5. He started throwing everything, man. I mean, I was like, damn, I'm being a bad influence on that. You gotta add that to the spicy for that, man. Then my daughter came and started doing that. But fuck it, you know what? Life is short, man. Throw a chair every so often.
Hey,
get it broke. You have a call center, broken chair budget. $100 a month, man. That $100 is the best ROI. They would throw the fucking chairs. Boom. Get on the phone. 2 appointments. Bam. They get a spiff. Boom. Everybody will win.
Everybody wins.
Motion creates emotion, man.
It does 100%. And I think, I think when it comes to our office, I'm probably not as much like that, only because I think with the product and service that we're dealing with,
It's a little different.
Can you imagine? I'm getting all these people fighting. Let's go, get on the phone, make some sales, and they're jumping on. They're talking to Betty. All right, Betty's 79 years old from Mississippi. She's diabetic, and you know what I mean. Like, it's gonna be a weird conversation, strangely entertaining. You know what I mean? But like, our Medicare floor is much different.
It's a little different. Okay, are you
Our tax floor, or the ACA, or some of the debt, or some of the other things that we're involved in, bro, they'll be like, oh my goodness.
So I tell you a story, New Jersey, North Jersey, where I must have been 24, 25. I was the Energizer Bunny. There were a couple hundred guys on the phone, and I was positioned right in the middle, like traffic control. I'm the one keeping the energy.
I love that spot. It's like a captaincy.
Yeah, I loved it, man.
Yeah.
So anyway, I don't know what happened, man. The one of the owners, I don't know, he happened to be in that day. I don't know what the hell I said. I'm like, listen, man, we got some cash, tax-free, da-da-da, motherfucker, blah, blah. I'm like going nuts. He comes out, so I'm like, Stodolak, what the fuck is wrong with you? In my office right now. And he brought the other guy, He's like, listen, I don't know what fucking boiler room you guys did in New York. What the fuck, you can't be, this is a fucking federally funded program, you motherfuckers. He like went off on me. I'm like, holy shit, man. And I thought I was gonna lose my job. So then I started creating these acronyms, like, like LFG, let's fucking go. I started creating these acronyms. So that's what I did. So I wrote like a long email that weekend. I listen, Mark Gossowitz, shout out Mark. He'll fucking appreciate this. I wrote this long ass email. Listen, Mark, I value working here. I enjoy it so much. Sometimes my enthusiasm gets the best of me. I wrote this long shit. So I thought of a solution. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna create acronyms. When I want to say let's go, let's fucking go, LFG. When I want to say TPIC, turning prospects into customers, I created this whole thing, and you love it. Yeah, let's do that. Just don't say no tax-free shit. Blah 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 blah. You supposed to report it. And bro, so and you know what's funny? Instead of me being mad, yo, fuck that guy. He sucked my dick, all that shit. What happened was he kind of I banned up. I made a mistake, and I felt like he endeared him. Like I endeared myself to him, hey, bro, like the next month I got a big fucking raise.
Yeah, it's awesome.
You know, and I created a solution. Business owners want solutions. They don't want complaints. So I think that's what happens a lot with people when you're, especially when you're younger, like, yo, fuck that guy, he's an asshole. Try to find common ground, find a solution to make it work. And bro, now I'm making good money there. I learned about writing call centers, lead gen. I got to be me, have fun. You know, it was like a true win-win at the end of the day.
Yeah, that's what, I mean, when you look at the people that are successful in these businesses, most of them are true to themselves.
Yeah.
And I love that, man. An industry where I don't have to worry about cutting my hair or facial hair or like, I mean, I have a polo on right now. Usually I'm in like Nike Yoga or Lululemon gear. I used to be in basketball gear, nothing but basketball gear, but I haven't gotten it.
Alo's pretty good.
Yeah.
My wife got me to Alo.
Bro, I can't believe what we're talking about. This is literally, I never.
Drinking matcha, talking about Alo,
Be a
Lululemon.
point and place.
True, new day and age, man.
Yeah. Well, you look, we have kids, right? I'm excited for our kids because
too.
I don't think there's ever been an opportunity to have a clearer path to success than they've been shown.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Now, that doesn't mean that they're going to show up every day, right? Because that's the first step. That doesn't mean that they're going to commit. That doesn't mean that they're going to stand. That doesn't mean they're going to fight. All those things are super important, but at least they have a path. We hope that they will. And it goes back to what I was talking about earlier when we were talking about the opportunity I had to watch you speak about your experiences and in front of your son. You know what I mean? And
Yeah, that was cool.
thinking through that and how those conversations are going to change and evolve over the years, right? Because how old is he now?
He'll be 6 in July.
A little guy, man. And that conversation when he's 10, which is Chance's son's age, is going to be much different than the conversation that I'm having with my son now who's 14, right? You know what I mean? And then God willing, man, when they're 20 and, you know, just beyond, right? Like you're their parent forever. And so just to be able to kind of connect those two dots, right? Like life and family and work and family and life and man, I'm fired up. It's gonna be fun to watch our boys grow up.
It is, and that's one thing I can't wait till all my kids get older. And I'm having fun. Like my daughter's 13, I can have these business conversations. She's thinking of business class. She's ass on that, man.
Yep.
And I turn important knowledge. That's fun for me, right? And I try to tell my son these things. I think it's harder for him to grasp, but seeing me speak in Puerto Rico was awesome, right? Now I was like, damn, am I gonna like be myself? I just let off. I mean, I don't think I went excessive with the cursing, but you know, I let out a few times. But he saw the passion. He was like, Dad, these are all your friends. Like he was like, he high-fiving people. He loved that, right? And
wow, we loved it.
It's just cool for I think him to be exposed to that. You don't have to be. You know, when we were younger, everyone was like, yo, get a 9 to 5. That's the path to success. You know, work for somebody for 40 years and you get a pension, retire. So I think that's one thing we try to do in that LFG show other ways of making money, non-traditional ways of making money. There's especially nowadays, there's so many of those. I interviewed Blake Tovis in Medellin yesterday. Man, what the younger generation is doing with AI, and you're doing it here too with the GPTs. I mean, it's just boggling my mind. They're so, you know, they get shit on a lot, saying they don't work hard, whatever. But these guys are like, they're smart, they're very innovative, right? So there's definitely, again, look for the positive. How do you harness that and you learn? But man, he made me realize, man, I'm beyond the 8 ball. For me, as far as a company, we really got to implement more of the stuff Dimitri talked about at Affiliate World, and it's time to start moving the needle there, right? So I'm going to allocate. I told my
innovation, and man, the younger generation has tapped into tools and resources that we just never had at our disposal. So I mean, for me, I'm always trying to hire young talent. You know what I mean? So if someone's interested in getting involved in, well, yeah, and you give them a path to success. It's not difficult for me to sit down with somebody who's hungry and like wants to be successful and say, hey, if you become an insurance agent, you have the ability to be able to make $3,000 to $4,000 a week, right? So if you like money, there's a path to do it in a way that serves the consumer the best. You're providing a service, you're coming to work, you're growing. That money changes people's lives,
100%.
right? And then if they're making that, then what else can they do, right? At some point, they're going to be able to stack and invest. And I mean, it allows them an opportunity to be able to really just grow and get involved in something different, right?
Yeah. Evolution, you evolve is what it comes down to.
Yeah, and I think that never stops.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And I want to say something too. Like I'm talking about when I was talking about me doing the stuff in the call center, that was 2005 and we were pretty dialed in. And nowadays, I mean, Samar said this on some podcast, a call center is not a call, it's a tech center. You got to be really you got to be intertwined with the whole technological advancement. And I see you guys doing that here, especially like you have people they're all doing mandatory AI training, man. And I love that. And I think Dovi's spearheading that, right?
Yeah,
When it comes
yeah.
down
We'll
to,
have their own chat GPT.
so I applaud you for doing that, man.
Their own bots. Well, I think, look, like if you could have people, teamwork makes the dream work, right? You need a great team. If there are tools and resources that you can utilize through technology in the same way that you would utilize assistants or virtual assistants, and why not use that? And we've also done that with VAs, and I think that you guys really kind of got me thinking into that when it came to Ed's roof in a box.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like when you guys started to explain what you guys were doing, I was like, how did you guys get involved in that? What was that like? What did that look like?
What happened was, shout out to Andrew Strong and the A team. We started with one member there, and we eventually got like 8. And I have Deborah on my team. She's been with me like 3 years. I can't, if I lost Deborah, I don't know what I do. So she's been good to us. We treated her well.
We love you, Deborah.
Yeah, we really do. So the point is that they worked hard, no issues, on time, all that stuff. So what happened was we realized we can do the same concepts in the roofing industry. So like with roofing, there's a lot of technical stuff. There's all this stuff. There's an Xactimate, there's permitting, there's all this stuff you got to do before you put a roof on. So instead of paying somebody in America, I don't know, 70 to 100 grand to do that work, you could have someone virtually do it for you in Colombia, for a fraction of the price, 15, 20 grand.
Yeah.
Especially during in the Northeast, these roofing companies have so much overhead. They're not installing as much because you can't install a brand new roof in sub 40-degree weather, from my understanding. So that's when you can really utilize some of those people to do some of the heavy lifting for you, and you save so much. Every business, no matter what it is,
You're streamlining efficiencies, and it's costing you less money, right?
100%,
And
yeah.
so we do the same thing with technology, but we also utilize the VA service. And I wanted to kind of piggyback on that for a minute, just because I think that it's such a great opportunity to build up the support team around you so that you're not missing anything. Allows you to spend less money. Take that money, don't put it in your pocket. Invest in innovation. Invest it in technology, and that's what we've tried to do. Like we've been outspending our growth for a while. Like we're outspending. Like we're like, okay, this is working well, but there's some technology that we feel like could give the consumer make the consumer experience better. It could help with retention. It can help with we have an AI that basically charts every call, and it lets the agent know if there is an error, and in real time they can
That's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, we're doing it on the front end, we're doing it on the back end, but like we want the consumer experience through technology to be enhanced. I always think that there's going to be a human element that's involved.
Always, yeah.
I love the VAs that you guys utilize and the services that you guys provide for that. And I think it makes for a better place to work right? And I think it makes for a better experience for the consumer. And again, it streamlines efficiencies for me as a business owner, and it costs me less money.
Yeah, and that's what it comes down to.
Increasing my bottom line.
Yeah.
Right? So
it's all about the EBITDA, right? I mean, the top line is one thing, but if you're not controlling those costs, it's going to come back to bite you hard. It happened to us, man, late 2023, 2024 was rough. I had to fix a lot of things. We reduced costs, like at least I think 70, 75,000 a month.
Yeah.
In the last 6 months. And like when you see it, like, man, it's amazing. Then you can reinvest into this thing, that thing, right? So it's just great being able to do that. But yeah, you can get drunk real quick off top line. Would that happen to me too? I'm not gonna lie. I was out there spending a lot of money on these shows, doing crazy stuff, and I realized, bro, it's not necessary. And even like the LFG show, we don't even need booths anymore. We're like, what? We're getting booths. They're giving us booths for free.
Well, they should.
I mean, it makes sense, right? So
guys do is
this.
Yeah, what you guys do for the industry and giving people a voice. But not only, listen, there's so many great stories. Like I would encourage anybody who's in the industry, go and listen to every podcast, right? Like I walk into my office sometimes, and Matt and some of the other people I work with, they have it on. They have yours and they have John's.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
That was John. I just saw him a couple of days ago.
Every time I
love John.
I send him kissy faces all the time, just randomly, just because I love him. But yeah, he's one of my favorites.
I send him eggplant emojis.
I will. You're a vegan. So, but yeah, I mean, like, watch all the shows, listen to the stories of success, and listen, if you want to connect on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Right. Like when I first started my LinkedIn profile, it was less than 10 years ago, man. Like I got involved in a business, and I was like, well, how do you find people that are in the industry that you can engage in?
It's so easy now.
He's like, LinkedIn. I was like, what is LinkedIn? They're like, oh, it's like Facebook, or MySpace for Dave. I always tell people, they're like, how'd you guys meet? I'm like, on MySpace.
Yeah.
I get like a weird look, which I love. That type of humor is just so funny for me. But LinkedIn allows you to be able to connect with people on a professional level. You can follow people that are in specific industries, and there's a lot of informative, educational content on LinkedIn, but most importantly, it allows you the ability to be able to connect with people.
Oh yeah, no, it's amazing. No, this has been awesome, man. We're coming up on time, but I want to ask you a couple last questions. We talked about the cleansing in Medicare, ACA, right? It's been crazy. There was a big Bloomberg article came out last week talking about kind of what we started off about South Florida being a hotbed for all these crazy things in health insurance, more kind of like
you sent it to me. You start telling me, and I know the story.
Yeah, you know the story.
And a lot of, and I know a lot of the players that are involved in it pretty intimately. But this is hilarious. Chasing big money with the healthcare hustlers of South Florida. I was like, what a great way to describe people who are involved in the health insurance industry in South Florida. They're hustlers. When you look at how they portray a hustler, you know what I mean? I don't think that it's how I'd like to be portrayed because I am in South Florida, but I think I look at a hustler as someone who like wakes up early, like who does everything they can for the betterment of not only themselves, but like the people around them. You know what I mean? They're going to go beyond, they're going to go above, they want not only to see success for themselves, but to people that are around them. And I think when there are a lot of people that are involved, and even some of those people in that article are like that, you know what I mean? It's just one person's side of the story, but there are other people that they want to see people grow. In South Florida, man, it's contagious. You get around people and you see them having success, you see an opportunity provided, or you get introduced into a process or maybe an opportunity, and you're like, man, this is awesome. Like, I want more of this. And not only is the sunshine in South Florida, but now Dave Stodlack's in South Florida.
I'm here, baby.
What's better than
I'm
that,
having
babe?
fun here, and we're just
South
getting started. We really are.
Not Southern Florida.
South Florida, yeah, I got. Yeah, but it's good. And what I was gonna say is, I think because of that, it's like any industry, man. It's happening in solar. Money gets good, and people start cutting corners, right? Getting aggressive angles, doing whatever. But at least that purging, and then it's maturing industry. It's consolidation. Listen, at the end of the day, I think it used to be 10,000 people a day. Now I heard it's 11,000 people a day turn 65, right?
Yeah.
People need insurance, right? So ACA it's not going to disappear. It's always going to be around. So the people that do it right are the ones that are going to be around, and that's why I say hats off to you.
I mean, listen, the people I am in this business because I really care for seniors, and I want to be able to provide the highest level of care for the consumer. And we've got very specific core values as a company that are deeply rooted, and then I see played out in the interactions that our employees have with our customers, and I love that because for me, I don't ever want to be involved in a business where it's not just consumer first, man. Let's provide the highest level of care, especially when it comes to seniors. And so that fires me up, man. That excites me. And I think that in our community, in my circle at least, there are a lot of other business owners, Medicare agency owners that have the same desire, man. They want to really make sure that they're following all of what CMS requires us to do on the marketing side and the interactions and the conversations with these consumers. But man, they want to provide the highest level of care, and if you can grow your business and have a successful business and impact a community, I mean, we're impacting a lot of communities. We're impacting the community here in South Florida with just all the people that we've employed, other businesses with the marketing services that we provide, our consumers that we're engaging in like very sensitive, delicate medical matters with, man. And it's important to recognize and realize that type of impact, because with that type of impact, you have a responsibility. And for me, being a man of faith, my faith is important to me. Jesus said two things, man: love God with all your heart, mind, soul, and strength, and love your neighbor as yourself, right? And so I have a vertical and a horizontal, right, responsibility to, man, do those two things, right?
I love it. That was a great answer. Maybe that's all the answer to the question. Maybe it's just really caring about the product rather than chasing money, right? Care about your consumers. Do you think that's the answer?
Think about it, bro. When people say, I want to be successful, so I just want to make money. Listen, the people that are hyper fixated on making money and they're chasing that dream, they're just going to get worn out. Like, find something that you can really give yourself over to and commit yourself to being the best that you can be at that day after day after day. It will compound over time, and you will find success point blank, period.
Yeah.
Right? Like, that's the only way to it. And me, again, like Providence, right? I have this idea that God has a purpose and plan for all of us, man. And like if anyone wants to be successful, all they got to do is call Dave, right? I mean, Dave, you said it,
Appreciate
success leaves clues. Dave openly shares all these clues that he's found in very hard places. Not just Dave, all of those people that are around him. You know what I mean? And so like all the clues are in the podcasts.
No, you're right about that. And what we're going to do eventually, we're going to have a community, an LFG community, and to be able to tap into people like you, and we should grow together, right, is what it comes down to.
Dave, I get phone calls all the time from people, and they're like, hey, when's the next Columbia Con? How come I wasn't invited?
Yeah.
I'm like, I wasn't even there. I'll be at the next one. Like, they just see the pictures. And I mean, look, the people that we're around are really committed to being successful. And not only are they committed to being successful, they're committed to seeing other people be successful. And that's why nobody minds like getting like this. I'm not a byproduct of my own success, right? I'm a byproduct of a community and really, I think, evidence of a gracious God, you know, and the success I've had, man, like the people that have been around me and the people that have stuck with me and God, they get all the credit. You know what I mean? And the people in our community, they're very similar. Right? A lot of people that you've had on, man, they're really similar. They're people of faith. They're people of conviction. They're disciplined men and women who want to be successful at the very highest level, but not only for themselves, but for the people around them too, as well.
All right, guys, we're leaving that upbeat note. This is a fun, great podcast.
Yeah,
guys, if you like what you're seeing here, make sure you subscribe, follow us. We got a lot of new things on the horizon here. Sean will drop his details here. Hit him up if you're looking for advice into Medicare. You want to do business with him with the lead gen side of things, or collaborate on the Medicare ACA side, tax side. Sure, all that.
Anything I can do to help, man.
Yeah.
Anybody.
Any means from bottom of the heart, and he will do it for sure.
I'm a big value add guy. So before I ask you what I can get from you, I'm going to definitely try to give you something.
I love
it. You know what I mean? If I can help you in any way, shape, or form, just let me know.
That's how it should.
Shout out to Chance too, bro.
Shout out to Chance.
Chance, like he's losing a little weight, man. He's been working out. We've been playing basketball every day, bro.
Nice.
Clan ain't.
Oh,
Nice. All right, guys.
lunch.
Great episode. It's Friday. Let's fucking go, guys.
Let's go.
Look.
Get ready to level your shit up with the LFG show. We travel the globe to bring you heavy hitters from all walks of life. We've been talking some serious business, from the best digital marketers, government contracting experts, to top athletic and celebrity doctors. We've got it all covered. We're talking to guys who cash in for billions with a B. And the best thing is, we're just getting started. So hold on tight. We're about to crank it up a notch. Get ready for next level networking and masterminds within the LFG community. Scared money don't make no money or honey. Hit the subscribe button, drop a like, leave a comment, and let's fucking go.